Our favorite week of the year is finally here. You might just think it's week 13, or maybe, if you're a normal person, you just think, hey, it's Thanksgiving. But it's the week of rivals, Brandon. That's what we're calling it. We have some giant games on the slate this weekend, and we're going to talk about, whether LSU or Auburn can pull off top 5 road upsets this weekend. We talk about, is Notre Dame on upset watch in Chapel Hill? And can Iowa State clinch their spot in the Big 12 championship game? We answer all this, break down some more of the biggest storylines in college football, and of course, we had to end our Thanksgiving week episode with a legendary Brandon's Gambling Corner. We have Thanksgiving bets, we have football bets, we have everything you need to do this weekend. We have a full show today, guys, so let's go ahead and kick it off. So we're starting out, I usually end the show, Brandon, with your heart segment. Well, we're kicking it off the show today. We have LSU traveling to number 5 Texas A&M. Kyle Field, College Station, a 14-point underdog are the Tigers from Baton Rouge. And, Brandon, all I can think about right now is what a matchup this was supposed to be. That turned out not to be anything what we expected.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, if you would ask me preseason about this game, my answer to the outcome might be 100% different. But things have not been looking too bright for my Tigers this season.
No, not at all. I mean, it's not really there. Listen, I am hard on the LSU Tigers on here just because of Brandon. But, I mean, this game probably would not be as, I guess, overlooked if Miles Brennan was healthy. Derek Stingley's banged up. He's been banged up throughout the year. Jamar Chase didn't opt out. And what happens, Brennan, if instead of playing an all SEC schedule, LSU has some warm-up games?
Yeah, I mean, things could have been – maybe Miles Brennan doesn't run straight into a strong safety and doesn't tear himself up. Who knows?
Exactly. And then on the other side, I mean, Brandon, if you would have asked me before the year, gave me this matchup and said someone's going to be ranked 5th, someone's going to be unranked, I'm probably picking the complete opposite. I'm saying LSU's got to be the number 5 team because I had no faith this A&M team could do this. But Jimbo Fisher, he finally created a college football playoff contender, Brandon. He was 5th last night in the playoff rankings. And, looking at these teams, I see 2 offenses that have the potential to put up points. But there's a difference. One team has a defense that has been probably exceeded expectations, while another defense has, I would say, greatly underperformed this year.
Yeah, I agree with that, Zach. Man, this hurts. Why do we have to go after Brandon's heart on every single episode? Every episode.
Brandon, listen, y'all are a 14-point underdog, right? And y'all have a losing record.
Yeah.
Auburn is ranked 22nd in the country, and we are a 25-point underdog. And that team doesn't even have a head coach.
See, that's tough. That's very tough.
You see, so we'll get there. Zach's heart's coming later in the show. So don't worry. So I'll get my shots in now, and you can take them later. So don't feel too bad. But, man, Kellen Mond, Brandon, we were so hard on him last year. But it wasn't because we thought he was overrated. It was just, man, you're supposed to be so good. And right now he's playing the best football of his career. He's got the highest completion percentage, the highest yards per completion, the higher passer rating, and the fewest interceptions of his career. And I think he is the whole key to this A&M team being as successful as they are this year, because I feel like when we talked in the offseason, we said if Kellen Mond can get over that hump, this A&M team could be good. And that's exactly what seems to have happened this year.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Now, the one thing I will say about this A&M team is that they are allowing they aren't putting up nearly as many passing yards as you kind of hope they would with Kellen Mond. I mean, I get it. He can use his feet too. He's a very mobile quarterback, but I don't know. I would like to see more through the air with this A&M team. I mean, they're averaging 250 yards passing a game. That feels a little bit low for the SEC.
Well, you also got to remember, I believe the incoming 5-star freshman they had is out for the year. They had their top wide receiver returning senior opt out of the year. So it's like they lost their 2 biggest stars at wide receivers. They've been doing it with a bunch of guys who weren't supposed to be wide receiver 1 or 2 roles. So I think they've done pretty well. But, Brandon, the sad part about this weekend, Derek Stingley was banged up, but I heard he was going to play. So that's not a big factor in my opinion, but it's the LSU run defense because, they might not be putting up through the air, but with Kellen Mond's legs and Isaiah Spiller coming up in big moments, this is a horrible matchup for this LSU defense, the way they've been playing recently.
Yeah, I mean, we all know. I mean, I've mentioned it several times. As long as you run straight up the middle on LSU, which Kellen Mond is not going to do, he's going to be scrambling to the outside. But if you run straight up the middle on LSU, you got 10 yards consistently. That's a given. The edge LSU protects a little bit better. I don't know. I'm not gonna talk myself into this though. You don't let me talk myself. I'm dumb and I might do it, but don't let me.
I mean, Isaiah Spiller, man, he performs big. He had 170 against Florida. That's huge. But I'm looking for Damone Clark and Jabril Cox to be X factors for LSU, Brandon. They came in with such high expectations, especially Jabril Cox. That kid was supposed to be just one of the leaders of this defense that had some experience coming in. And, I mean, they've performed well, Brandon, but I think even as an LSU fan, you would like to see more from them in leading the middle of this defense.
Right, and I'm fairly certain that Damone Clark's not playing. I think he got benched.
Oh, that's tough.
I think he got benched. That's tough.
That's real tough. He's still, I think, the second leading tackler for LSU right now.
Yeah, he's underperformed in a big way. So
that's crazy. You could be second in tackles and he's still get benched.
So Micah Baskerville it looks like he's going to take that other middle linebacker spot next to Jabril Cox this weekend. So I don't know. That's just from what practice looked like. There's been reports of practice that he got he got benched, which is crazy because LSU and I'm getting way too far into this right now, Zach. So I'm sorry, but LSU started Baskerville only one other time this season. That was against Auburn, and I don't think that LSU's defense was very good that game. So I don't really understand the logic, but
that's tough. I mean, just one last player before I give my prediction. TJ Finley. If we get the TJ Finley, Brandon, that performed against South Carolina and late in that Arkansas game, LSU's going to have a shot here.
Let me say this, Zach. I don't even think it comes down to TJ Finley. I think it comes down to how many times LSU targets Eric Gilbert. Because that's when they really impressed me against Arkansas. When they targeted Eric Gilbert, I mean, he was picking up first downs left and right. But they didn't. If you can recall the Auburn game, how many targets did he get? Not nearly enough. He hardly got any. And so when they actually target this kid who was their number one recruit this past offseason, they win games. And they just I don't know. It all adds up to me. Every single time they don't target him, they don't use him in the main passing game, they lose. And so
the good thing for LSU though is the way Auburn did that is Auburn's strength is outside linebackers with size and speed, and so they were throwing fresh bodies at Gilbert consistently. I don't trust A&M's linebackers as much as I do Auburn's or Alabama's or anyone's like that. I think their strength is at safety. So will they have enough safeties to throw at Eric Gilbert to kind of keep him down,
Right.
That's a big question for me. But Brandon, TJ Finley either has to throw an equal amount or throw more touchdowns and interceptions because he's at 4-3 right now in his touchdown interception ratio. So he is looking real close at that Jameis ratio there.
But what, 2 of those came against Auburn in one game? Yeah, so
in one game.
So, I mean, I don't know how much weight I'd put to that. In that South Carolina game, he looked incredible. I get it. That's against South Carolina's defense. Late against Arkansas, he looked really good. There's been reports, and I guess it's coming from teammates, so I don't know how much weight you can actually give it, but people have been saying that TJ Finley looks a lot better, even from last week in practice. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess we just got to wait and see.
That's true, but guys, Texas A&M, Brandon, I always come with these really cool stats. Texas A&M has lost 8 of the last 9 games against LSU.
No, they lost 9 out of the last 9, Zach. That 7 overtime game was a fluke. The referees were betting on that game. They put their money on the Aggies is what happened.
I was about to say their only win was a 74-72 win over LSU, which they should have lost to. So they're 0-9 or 1-9, whichever way you want to go there. Can A&M reverse the trend of this LSU domination, Brandon? Listen, in a normal season or a season where LSU is healthy, I think I would pick LSU to pull the upset off. This is a game that an LSU team would always make close or pull off. But with all the injuries, the players out, the turmoil in that LSU program, I haven't seen anything that gives me any hope. I have Texas A&M 41-20 over the LSU Tigers.
Yeah, that's a tough score, but it's pretty realistic. Zach, everyone knows I'm one who never shies away from hedging his happiness, and so if LSU wins, I'll be happy. If I win this game and pick six, I'll be less happy, but I'll still be happy. So I'm going with Texas A&M, and I'm going with Texas A&M 79-77. I'm going with the hot. I'm going with an 8 overtime game.
Oh God. What a game. But guys, we're moving to the Pac-12 now. Number 15, Oregon at Oregon State. Oregon's a 14-point favorite. Brandon, you can't call this a Civil War robbery anymore because they have canceled that. So this is just the Oregon State game now, Brandon. Very original. I wish they would have came up with a better name. But as you know, Oregon's trying to overcome a lot of youth injuries right now, but they're still on track for a Pac-12 championship, while Oregon State lost 2 really close games early, but they're building off a big win last week over Cal. Brandon, what are you looking for in this game, and who you got in this one?
You know what's crazy is that in college football, Oregon State never really gets brought up, and that's probably for a good reason. It's not a very good team. They're not a very good team historically, and I don't even want to say they're a good team this year. But what I will say is that their one win this season really impressed me. That Cal team, I mentioned it, 2 episodes ago, something like that. They're returning the most starters out of any NCAA team this season. And, I don't know how much weight you can give that because this is a Cal team, they're not historically great either. But that's pretty impressive. I mean, they've lost both of their games by 10 points or less. And,
right.
Washington State and Washington aren't great teams, but I don't think Oregon's that great of a team either. Have they impressed you this year, Zach?
No, not even in the slightest.
I mean, they came off of a win against Stanford that was pretty unimpressive. I mean, they won by 21, but against Stanford, you got to do better than that, man. In my opinion, you got to do way better than that. Washington State, they gave up almost 30 to Washington State, and they won this game pretty. I mean, if you look at just the scoreboard, it looks convincing, but it was pretty sloppy as well. And then this past week, I mean, they just barely squeaked by UCLA. Right. UCLA, really? And so, I don't know. I'm not impressed by this Oregon team, but I'm not going to sit here and shock the world by choosing Oregon State. Oregon State's a bad football team, Zach. And I get it. It's a rivalry game. Anything could happen, but not really. Oregon State is Oregon State. Stick to baseball, sometimes basketball, but don't even venture into the football world, Oregon State.
Know your place.
Know your place.
I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be more upset by the caliber of performances we see from the Pac-12 or the fact we have to get rid of Pac-12 after dark football.
That's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I'm pissed about it. I get it, COVID, all that good stuff, but does the virus go to sleep? I don't know. But, I don't think it's any safer.
It's nocturnal. Yeah. It only wakes up at night.
I feel like they're just as in danger at 9 a.m. I think they're more in danger at 9 a.m., having to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get ready for a game.
Right.
But as Mike Norvell would say, coaches aren't scientists, or neither are podcast hosts with no education. So we're just going to leave it at that. But Brandon, I haven't really been impressed with this Oregon team. They did have I think Oregon might have been, just in terms of sheer number of players, probably was the most affected team by opt-outs.
I mean, they lost Penei Sewell, so
and Javon Holland.
I don't even care. I don't even care about that. I don't care about anybody else besides Penei Sewell. They lost him, and the only other team that lost a player even in similar caliber, I think, LSU lost Jamar Chase, and then Penn State lost Micah Parsons, and that was their whole team. And they're 0-5 for a reason. He opted out.
Yeah. And they also lost Noah Sewell, Panay's brother, to injury at linebacker, the 5-star linebacker. He's out with a knee injury for the rest of the year. So this Oregon team has just a lot of holes, Brandon. I think in a normal year, we would be much more impressed. I think the College Football Playoff Committee really told you what they thought about Oregon last night, dropping them to 15, which that pretty much, Brandon, that eliminates the Pac-12 from playoff contention. In my opinion, I think that's probably a wrap there. But I'm looking for Tyler Shaw, Brandon. He's got to be accurate. He's got to be efficient, which he has been. I mean, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, almost 1,000 yards already. And this Oregon State defense is not very good. I mean, they're allowing 200 yards through the air and ground. And they're allowing over 30 points a game already. They really got lucky to win that game last week. I think Cal outplayed them for a lot of that game. They were outclassed by Washington. Washington State really put a number on them. I don't see them. I don't see how they could win this game, Brandon, really and truly. And I think CJ Verdell is going to have a big game. He'll be big on the ground. I'm just looking, can this Oregon defense wake up? I mean, they're allowing over 430 yards per game. And this was supposed to be the number 2 defense in the country.
Yeah.
And
nuts.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I get you had opt-outs, but there's no reason UCLA, Washington State, and Stanford should be putting up over 400 yards on you.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
And it's a trend, Brandon. They allowed 14 week 1, 29 week 2, 35 week 3. If Oregon State can make this a shootout, Oregon could be in trouble. I think they have too much experience. I believe in Mario Cristobal in this program. Brandon, I have Oregon 35-20 over the Oregon State Beavers.
No, there's way too much of a lack of defense for them not to hit this over, Zach. And I don't know, you must be on crack. I'm going with Oregon 38, Oregon State 28.
I like it. Moving to the Big Ten, guys. Maryland at number 12, Indiana. Indiana is an 11.5-point favorite. Brandon, do you think Tagovailoa and this Terrapins team can pull off the upset over this Indiana team that lost a heartbreaker last week?
I'm still not sold on him, dude. I'm not. I don't even want to call him Talia. I'm not sold on Tua's brother. I'm not.
He hasn't even earned his own individuality.
I don't understand why people are thinking that he's so good. Like, it doesn't make sense. He has 770 total yards on the season. He's played 5 games, so that's, I don't know. You do the math.
3 games.
Oh, it's only been 3 games?
Yeah, they had their Ohio State game canceled. I think they had another one canceled.
It doesn't matter. He's 6-4. That's the ratio right now. He is
not great.
He is creeping up on Jameis.
I will use your logic for what's his name? TJ Finley. He threw 3 in 1 game.
That's right. Yeah, he had 3 against Auburn, so that sucks.
What? So Tagovailoa threw 3 in his first game, so he's 6-1 in terms of touchdowns and interceptions in his last 2 games.
Doesn't matter. Don't care. He's not good, Zach. If you think he's good,
I know.
say it.
I'm on your side, bro. I am on your side.
Sounds like your team Talia, right, or Tua's brother right
now. I'm not. I mean, what I was going to say is I think so. I don't remember which team someone was talking about. I was listening on the radio today, breaking out some college football, and they were talking about how people always forget who teams have beaten in the past. And it's like, this Maryland team's 2-1. People are saying they should be ranked. People are saying Talia is on a roll. Brandon, they lost 43-3 to the one team with a winning record they've played.
Yeah, that's not great.
They needed 1 point and a missed extra point to beat Minnesota at home. And then they beat an 0-5 Penn State team that literally, I think me and you by ourselves, we could just play quarterback and running back, and I'll hand it to you, we would beat Penn State.
Wait, why do you get to be quarterback?
Okay, well, because you're a little bit faster than me, so I'm going to give you the ball. So I trust you to get around the backup linebackers that Penn State's putting out on the field. But, Brandon, this is a 2-1 team, and they're being outscored in their averages. They're scoring 27 points a game and allowing 35. And they're only averaging 429 yards per game, and they're allowing almost 500.
Dude, Michael Penix Jr. is about to put 1,000,000 points on Maryland. It's just gonna happen.
Especially after the way they lost last week.
Oh my God! You might not even want to watch this game. It's going to get ugly, folks.
I mean, and people are overlooking Indiana. They're like, oh, well, they lost to the one real team they played. Yes, I mean, Penn State didn't turn out to. I mean, Brandon, are you one of those people who believe if Penn State wins that game, like let's say Penix is short of the goal line, do you think Penn State would be as bad as they are right now?
I don't know. I feel like that kind of set them on a track. They'd still be bad, I think. They wouldn't be good, but their confidence might not have just gone through the floor.
Right. So I think that played a part. They beat Penn State when they thought they were a top 10 team in the country. They beat Michigan when they were ranked, and they lost by 1 score to Ohio State. This team has played 3 ranked teams out of 5 games and won 2 of them. And the 2 games they didn't play ranked teams, they dominated the game. They shut out Michigan State on the road, and they beat Rutgers by double digits, who apparently is decent over there. So let's start giving Indiana some credit. And this game's getting a lot of attention, but I don't feel like anyone's looking in the details. I don't think Maryland's that good at all. I think Maryland is going to be in for a rude awakening this weekend. I think they're overmatched. I don't think they have the talent that they think they do. I think Talia in this offense has been facing really, really bad defenses. I don't trust their run game. I mean, when your running back is named Jake Funk, I don't trust you.
I like it. I don't know. I like the name.
The only X factor I can see is just the receiving game. Can they get it going? Can they have a wide receiver establish themselves out in Maryland? Yeah. That's what I'm waiting to see. I mean, Dante Demas Jr., he's been pretty good this year, but he's not super consistent. He's a junior out of Washington, D.C. I think Michael Penix Jr. wins the quarterback battle. I think Scott III wins the running back battle. I think Freifogel wins the receiving battle. I mean, Freifogel has almost 700 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns, Brandon.
Right.
Kids balling. Penix Jr., 1,500 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. Balling. I mean, this Indiana team is legit, Brandon. I think they make a statement this weekend. I have Indiana 47-17 this weekend.
Wow, 47-17. Wow. Okay. I'm going to go with Indiana. Let's go 35. And I think they can win by 3 scores, 14.
I like it. Back to the ACC, guys. We're getting into the big games now. These next 3 games, all ranked versus ranked matchups. We have number 19 North Carolina, Brandon, hosting number 2 Notre Dame. A 5-point favorite is the Fighting Irish. What do you see happening here? And can the Tar Heels somehow pull off the upset?
See, you say it like that, and then as soon as it's your turn to talk, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, North Carolina kills them. Because you love North Carolina and you love Sam Howell, and you'd marry him if you could, but you can't because you don't even know him. But
I don't know that. I got a jersey coming.
You did not order a Sam Howell jersey.
He heard I was a big fan. He likes the podcast.
Okay. I don't know. Notre Dame is a really good team. What I will say, Zach, and I know you haven't talked yet. This is just going all off of assumptions here. To your credit, because you're going to choose UNC, this does seem like a game that Notre Dame would lose, right? You know,
1,000%.
They get to 8-0. And then they play a team that is kind of disappointed a little bit this season. They're still good. They're still really good, but they haven't been as dominant as we thought they were going to be so far this season. And then Notre Dame shows up, and Notre Dame lays an egg, and they get beat somehow late. Like UNC has a comeback 4th quarter, and they beat them by a touchdown. I get that. That seems like it's probably going to happen. And now that I've said it, it's absolutely going to happen. But I believe in this Notre Dame team. I really do. This seems to me like the best Notre Dame team that we've seen. And I honestly think this team looks better than the what was it, 2013 against Alabama or 2012? Okay, 2012 against Alabama. I don't know. They seem better than that team to me, and so I've got a lot of faith in in Notre Dame in this game.
I like it, but you already spoiled everything. I think if there's a team outside of Clemson in the country that is set up to beat Notre Dame, it's North Carolina.
Yeah.
Especially their offense, man, because what has Notre Dame built their defense to do, Brandon?
Stop everything.
Stop the run, specific. I mean, and then force your quarterback into mistakes because of the lack of run game. Then they bring blitzes, they get into your quarterback's face, and then it's on. They shut down Travis Etienne. You have to have an elite defense to do that.
Yeah, you do.
But is there an offense in the country that has a better 1-2 duo than Javonte Williams and Michael Carter?
I'll go with no.
I mean, they have been dynamic. They're going to have a giant weekend if UNC expects to pull the upset, Brandon. Williams, over 800 yards rushing. He's averaging 7.2 yards per carry, Brandon, and 15 rushing touchdowns. He's elusive and explosive option and attacking the outside. I mean, Brandon, we covered the game. I think it was UNC NC State. He forced 17 missed tackles in one game.
Right.
That doesn't even sound right.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, he had 18 carries and he forced 17 missed tackles. Like, are you kidding me? And then Carter, over 800 yards rushing too. He's averaging 7 yards per carry and has 4 rushing touchdowns. So you have 2 guys that are averaging 7 yards per carry. And Carter's the power attack of this offense. And yes, Notre Dame's only allowing about 85 yards per game on the ground. And UNC is rushing for over 230, Brandon. And so for me, whichever team wins this matchup is going to win because UNC needs the run game to set up stuff in the pass game with Sam Howell and to keep Notre Dame honest and keep them from abusing this, I would say, lackluster Tar Heel offensive line.
No, I definitely agree. And Notre Dame, while their secondary hasn't been the focus of this defense that I think, probably one of the best in the country at this point, they're still good, Zach. I mean, they're still stopping the pass. Obviously, they're stopping the run much better. I mean, they're allowing 85 yards on the ground a game. That's unheard of this far in the season. 8 games through the season, and they've played Clemson.
Pretty outstanding.
And they've played a really good ACC schedule so far. And so I've been impressed with this defense as a whole. And I understand, they probably haven't seen a team outside of Clemson who's averaging 550 yards a game. This UNC offense is incredible, but I don't know. To me, this Notre Dame defense edges that out. I don't know. It's going to be a fun game to watch for sure.
Absolutely. And on the other side, the UNC defense has problems. I mean, they're atrocious at times. And they're facing an offense that can really put up points when they're clicking. And Brady, you mentioned that this team's better than the 2012 national championship team or whatever. I think the difference is Kyron Williams. Yeah. I don't think Notre Dame has had an every down back that can go get it like this kid can.
Yeah, no, you're right.
He's a beast, man. 6 yards per carry, 700 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns. He's going to have to match the production of both those running backs across the field, which is a tough task. He hasn't had a bigger one yet. But another X factor, Brandon, Ian Book, I think he's going to have to play the best game of his life to win this game because that offense on the other side is going to put up points. They've put up points in their losses. They put up points when they don't play well. That's just the type of offense Mac Brown has put up over there. But Ian Book has been playing his best football recently. 62% completion percentage, over 1,800 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and then 6 rushing touchdowns. In his career, Brandon, he's never had a higher completion percentage, never had he's tied for his lowest INT ratio, tied for his highest yards per completion of his entire career. He's played outstanding, and if he can continue that and avoid turnovers, then I don't see how the Fighting Irish lose this game. So can UNC force them into mistakes? And can they make Ian Book win the game without any help from Kyron Williams? Because Kyron Williams was the MVP of that Clemson game. As good as Book played, Kyron Williams dominated Clemson in that game.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And, man, I think this is the only stat that matters, Brandon. Really the only storyline. All that just to get to this. is, can Notre Dame pressure Sam Howell? We've talked about it, what, Brandon, countless times.
Yeah, so many times.
If you get to Sam Howell, it's a wrap. He's completing only 48% of his passes, Brandon, under pressure.
So that's tough.
That's real bad. But when you don't get to him, he burns you deep, man. 8 touchdowns, over 800 yards, 20-plus yards down the field. The kid can ball if you give him time. So Notre Dame has to limit the deep ball, find ways to make Howell uncomfortable. And if UNC can establish a run game, it's going to be brutal. And listen, UNC's only beaten Notre Dame once, Brandon, in the entire series history. It's 1960s was the last time UNC won a game against Notre Dame. So Notre Dame leads the series 18-1, Brandon.
That's I didn't know they'd played that many times.
Yep. Notre Dame is having a historic year, but I don't think anybody matches up better than UNC. I think this team almost upset Clemson in the same stadium last year. I think they learned from their mistakes. They finish off the historic upset this year, and the Fighting Irish are left to fight for their life against Clemson in a few weeks in Charlotte. I have North Carolina 45-41 over Notre Dame.
I knew you were gonna fall into that trap, Zach. No, this is gonna be a low scoring game. North Carolina's going to destroy Sam Howell in the pocket. I'm going to go with Notre Dame in this one, 28-17.
Ooh, if they hold North Carolina to 17 points, I am going to be flabbergasted. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm as confident. You predicted UCF to score 60, and they barely got to 30. So I don't know about that one. But moving on to the most important game of the weekend for your boy. We got number 22 Auburn traveling to Tuscaloosa to face the Alabama Crimson Tide without Nick Saban again, another positive COVID test. So best wishes for Coach Saban there. But
I didn't know you
Bama
is twice.
So his last test was a false positive, they confirmed.
Okay. That sucks.
So
that sucks if you test positive. It's a false positive. You're like, oh, I'm invincible. Then you go out and catch it. That sucks. Sorry, Coach Saban.
And apparently, since this was a real positive, because it was a PCR test or whatever it's called, there is no logistical way he can coach this weekend. So he's gone. Like, Steve Sarkisian is running that team this weekend against Auburn. I don't think Alabama is still a 24.5-point favorite, guys. The Crimson Tide are projected to roll. It's the best rivalry game in the country. Major playoff implications again for one team, along with a bunch of bragging rights. Brandon, Alabama's coming in number 1 in the country again. No surprise there. They are outscoring their last 3 opponents 152-20.
That is tough.
Disrespectful. And Auburn, they're back in the top 25 after a 3-game win streak, after a really embarrassing upset loss to South Carolina. But Brandon, I'll start this one off. This is my team, and this is all we need to talk about right here. Is there really any other X factor that really needs to matter other than which Bo Nix we get this weekend?
Absolutely not.
I mean, it doesn't matter. We know what Alabama's going to do. We know Najee Harris is good. We know Mac Jones is good. We know they have 9 million wide receivers that run 4-1s. But Bo Nix can go from the worst quarterback in the country to one of the best, just weekend to weekend, and it makes no sense. His road woes are documented on this podcast, documented on social media. I mean, this kid has been scrutinized to death. 58% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions on road games this year, Brandon. He is going to have to be much, much, much better than that. If Auburn even stands to not have this game be a 50-point blowout.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be, are they playing in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah.
Oh man, thoughts and prayers.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be bad, bro. It's gonna be ugly. I mean, because listen, if Nix fails to deliver the game, like the moment the game kicks off, if Nix goes out that first drive and it's a quick 3 and out, it's a wrap. You don't have to watch the rest of the game. I'll tell you what's going to happen.
That's it.
If Auburn doesn't drive down, if Auburn doesn't get at least 1 to 2 first downs on that first drive, it's a wrap. Every single time they beat a big team is because they drive the ball early, get some confidence, even if they don't score. They did it last year. They did it in 17. They have to do it. And if Nix can deliver a performance like we saw against LSU or even Alabama last year, the Tigers could have a chance. But that's a big if. Can he have that performance?
Right.
And then, Brandon, this Alabama offense, I mean, this offense is so talented, Brandon. I don't think there's a weekend they go in where they're like, oh, we can't score 45 points.
Yeah. No, I mean, this Alabama team is incredible, Zach.
Over 540 yards per game, Brandon, and almost 50 points per game.
Incredible.
They're averaging almost 400 yards passing, 360, and almost 200 yards rushing per game, Brandon.
That's wild.
That is disgusting. I mean, are you kidding me? Mac Jones is completing 77% of his passes, 2,400 yards, 18 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. People were saying all offseason, Brandon, I just want to say, I'll give us credit. We're not Alabama fans, but we said Mac Jones was this good.
We did, yeah.
And everyone said, no, you got to start Bryce Young. I promise you Alabama would not be undefeated with Bryce Young.
No, absolutely not. Mac Jones is, I mean, he's like, well, he's in the Heisman talks right now. That's why.
I think he's second right now.
That's crazy.
I mean, and then the weapons, Brandon. Yes, they don't have Jalen Waddle, who went for 4 touchdowns last year against Auburn, but they still got Devontae Smith, 10 touchdowns on the year. Mechie, the third, he's dominant. Miller Forrestall, the tight end, he's a beast. And then Najee Harris is arguably 1A to Travis Etienne as the best running back in the country. 800 yards rushing, 16 touchdowns, Brandon. And I really and truly, with Auburn's defense being banged up, I don't know if they can stop Alabama.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
I really don't, Brandon. And also, your boy Tank might be out too.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he hurt his hip last week against Tennessee on a cheap shot. So, no, he did. The whistle blew, and everybody was getting off the pile, and the defensive end just grabbed him and threw him off the pile.
What?
Yeah. I was like, what is this crap? But we all know Tennessee's dirty anyway. If you're listening from Tennessee, you can come take it up with me.
Dirty. They're down low. There's some snitches.
Facts. But, Brandon, Alabama leads the series 46-37. But people overlook this, Brandon. This stat's going to kind of blow you away. Auburn's won 2 of the last 3 games in this rivalry.
Really?
Yeah, they won 17 and 19.
Oh, no, I don't. Oh, wow. That hurt my head.
So, like, people are like, Alabama's been dominating. It's like, not really, if you look at it. But, Brandon, this is the kicker. Auburn has not won in Tuscaloosa since 2010, which was to Cam back with Cam Newton. And every single year since then in Tuscaloosa, Auburn's lost by double digits.
Yeah, that's tough.
The streak continues this weekend, Brandon. Crimson Tide roll. They continue their march to the college football playoff and the SEC championship. I have Alabama 52-27.
What? Okay, a blowout. Okay. Yeah, Alabama's got to win this one. It's in Tuscaloosa, and even if it wasn't in Tuscaloosa, Alabama would win this one. I'm going with Alabama 45, Auburn. I think they kind of keep it close. I mean, they normally keep it close. Alabama 45, Auburn 35.
I can see. I think mine's gonna be close early. I think it'll be like going into halftime. It'll be like 24-17, and then it's just gonna get ugly in the second half.
And then Steve Sarkisian starts yelling at him, and Nick Saban FaceTimes in, and they're like,
no,
okay.
Nick Saban comes in the locker room threatening to cough on everybody, and it gets back in shape. But our final game of the day, guys, number 13 Iowa State traveling to Austin to take on the number 17 Texas Longhorns. The Longhorns are a 1-point favorite, Brandon. The bias here for the Longhorns is huge, but a win this weekend will clinch a spot in the Big 12 championship for Iowa State, while the loss is going to lead to a 4-way tie at the top of the Big 12.
Oh, no. See, this is like the biggest conflict of interest of all time, Zach, because I love chaos. Everyone knows I'm the world's biggest chaos fan. But I also hate Texas. And I don't know if I'm a bigger chaos fan or a bigger I hate Texas fan. Horns down forever, but a 4-way tie just sounds very fun. What does that go? Does that come down to
Especially-
like a coin toss or something?
I think it comes down to head-to-head.
And so, okay, I've got to figure this out.
So it'd be a four-way tie between Iowa State, Oklahoma, Texas, and Oklahoma State.
So if Texas wins, then Texas beat Iowa State. Obviously, they beat
Oklahoma State.
They beat Oklahoma State,
but they lost to Oklahoma.
Lost to Oklahoma. Yeah.
And Oklahoma lost to Iowa State, but they beat Texas and Oklahoma State. But Oklahoma State beat Iowa State, but lost to Texas and Oklahoma.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that this is just going to be the most chaos. This is going to be the biggest. Wow. Zach, I love chaos. I do. But it sounds to me like Texas would have 2 wins in this scenario, so they would make it to the Big 12 championship, which I just don't want.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be brutal. And you know what? It might come down to a coin flip if they can't figure it out.
See, if it can come down to a coin flip, that's what I want. If Texas, if Texas winning means that it comes down to a coin flip for the Big 12 championship, then I want that.
Listen, it'd be like Friday Night Lights all over again. We're going to get Perman to the state championship,
right?
But listen, I mean, the one and only X factor I even care about is Barisi Hall.
Yes.
If he can dominate and impose his will, it's going to be a wrap. He's rushed for over 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns. He's been averaging 6.5 yards per carry. Brandon, he leads the country in rushing yards. He's second in the country in rushing touchdowns, and he's first in the country in yards from scrimmage. He is what Chuba Hubbard should have been. He's rushed for over 100 yards and scored at least 1 touchdown in every single game this year, Brandon. Right. And he's rushed for over 130 in all but 1 game.
Well, and that's not a very good matchup for this Texas defense that's allowing 117 yards on the ground per game. Like that's just bad. That's awful.
Because there's a lot of issues that come with this. So if they get the running game going, then Texas can't get after Brock Purdy. And we saw last week what happened when K-State didn't get after Brock Purdy. He put up a perfect QBR just about. He put up a 98 QBR, and they won 45-0.
Yeah, and this Texas defense just is not a very good defense, I would say. I mean, they're allowing 283 yards through the air every single game. So this, to me, is just going to come down to, can Texas's defense hold Iowa State's offense? And if they can't, then this spread is just absolutely insane if they can't, because Texas being a favorite is nuts.
Especially if Iowa State can control the time of possession. If you keep Sam Ehlinger on the bench, that's the only person that can win the game for Texas.
Right.
And I'm excited for the QB battle, Brandon, but one of these both of these guys can take over a game, but both of them aren't equal. Like, one quarterback is like in the war with a knife, and the other one has like an entire army behind them.
Well, and if you would have asked us this last year, like, this quarterback battle would have been so much better, because Brock Purdy was incredible last year. And Sam Ehlinger was still good, but he wasn't as good as he was this year. What were you saying?
Brock Purdy's been on a roll though, man.
Recently, yeah, but he started out
recently. Slow. Yeah, I mean, he definitely started out slow, but, and also, what about the difficulty, Brandon? You already said this Texas defense is not very good. What about this Iowa State defense only allowing around 300 yards per game and coming off a dominating performance over K-State? Brandon, they allowed 140 total yards last week.
Right. I mean, and that's what, that it might come down to that. But this Iowa State defense, while it is really good, it struggles a little bit more with the passing game, which I'm nervous about with Sam Ehlinger, because he's the best quarterback they've seen all year, and that's not even close. So who would you say?
I mean, Spencer Rattler's looking real good right now, man.
Sam Ehlinger is better than Spencer Rattler right now. I mean, if you give Spencer Rattler until he's a junior or senior, he's going to be so much better than Sam Ehlinger is right now. But Sam Ehlinger is really good right now.
The thing that's going to hurt Ehlinger, though, is his accuracy, man. He is so inaccurate.
Right.
He's only completing, 58% of his passes?
That's true. And you know what's crazy is that I guess Texas just doesn't have a running back because while he is passing a lot, and I get that, you got to think, hey, let's move to the running game a little bit if my quarterback's completing 58% of his passes. But Sam Ellinger's the leading rusher on this team with 300 yards.
That's tough. You don't have a running back that got 300 yards yet?
Breece Hall might get that this weekend.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And this is probably the second best defense the Longhorns have faced. They faced West Virginia, the number 1 defense, and West Virginia held them to 17 points.
Right.
But West Virginia's offense isn't as strong as this one, and if you only score 17, Iowa State's going to beat you.
Right, absolutely.
1,000%. Purdy has to avoid INTs, Brandon. Texas is too good on offense to allow extra possessions, so if they can lean on Breece Hall, Purdy has an efficient game. They control the ball, move the chains, eat the clock. It'll be huge for the what are they? The Cyclones? I always want to call them the Cardinals, but they're the Cyclones, and it bothers me. But Texas is the favorite right now, Brandon. Like I said, the ESPN FPI gives the Longhorns a 72% chance to win this game.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. You want to know what I want to complain about right now, Zach? Is that Iowa State has 2 losses and it's ranked number 13, but they lost to UL, right? They lost to UL week 1 by a lot. That was their worst loss of the season, by the way. And guess where UL is? Guess where UL
not
is?
Ranked.
They're not ranked in the college football playoffs, Zach. Can you believe that?
That's tough. If you're a Raging Cajuns fan, it's a tough day.
I'm mad. I'm very mad.
I don't know. I was pretty heated last night, but we'll get to that in a second. We got the ranking reaction here in a minute, and it's going to be bad. But, Brandon, Texas leads this series 14-3.
Right.
They lost a tough game in Ames last season. Who's going to deliver in the biggest game of the year so far for the Big 12? I think Iowa State has the best player on the field in Breece Hall. They have the better defense and the better coach. It's going to win them this game in a classic, Brandon. I think this could even go to OT. I have Iowa State 34-31 with a huge win down in Austin.
I've got Iowa State. I had it written down, Zach, 35-28. They're going to win. They have to win.
Oh, you went so much this week, man. I had to pick North Carolina. So if North Carolina doesn't win, you take pick 6 this week, that is trash.
Oh, it doesn't matter, dude. Doesn't matter.
I'm still up 2 games, so it's fine.
And you tried to trick me into picking LSU.
I did. That was going to be a surefire win for your boy. How mad are you going to be if LSU pulls it off?
I'm not. I already told you. I'm going to be happier if LSU wins. Pick 6 doesn't matter. LSU matters.
That's fair enough. But, guys, that's a wrap on pick 6. We said we're going to shorten it up a little bit. We got some storylines, and then, of course, we're wrapping up with Brandon's Gambling Corner. So, Brandon, let's start with some drama. We always like to be messy on this podcast. We have Dabo Swinney, Mike Norvell at it again. I think they should fight, but that's just me. We can arrange this. We can throw some hands, 6 feet apart, though. Do it like Rock'em Sock'em Robots or something, 6 feet apart. Last weekend, guys, Clemson, Florida State postponed due to various medical professionals from each team not being able to agree to play the game due to a Friday night positive COVID test by a Clemson football player that traveled to Tallahassee. But no other players on Clemson tested positive afterwards, and after the player was, quarantined and all that. Clemson reportedly, Brandon, this is where it gets ugly for Florida State, offered to stay in Tallahassee and play the game Sunday night or Monday night after they get 2 more rounds of testing those nights.
Yeah.
Florida State denied this, Brandon, and the game was therefore postponed. Well, Dabo Swinney don't take too kindly to quitters up there in Clemson, and he has asked for a refund, Brandon, for traveling because and then when Florida State said, well, they can come back in December, Dabo Swinney said, well, then you can pay for it. He asked them to come to Clemson for the game. And then Norvell, when asked about this, said that coaches aren't doctors and therefore they shouldn't be making these decisions. Dabo Swinney, instead of responding to that, said that he would rather not listen to Florida State, who's had 3 coaches in 4 years.
Yeah. Yikes.
So, Brandon, your take on this, whose side are you on in this, I guess, argument or drama we got in the ACC right now?
I hate Dabo Swinney. I'll say it. And I've said it before. I cannot stand this man. Like, there's a lot of college football coaches out there, and there's a lot that I don't like. There's a lot I don't care for. I hate Dabo. You know, he wants to trick you into thinking, oh, I'm this good old boy. I'm this Southern guy. I'm a good, nice family man. No, he sucks. He's the worst. He complains more than anyone I've ever met. And I know Zach. I hang out with Zach quite a bit. He complains so much. I hate Dabo. I don't understand how you can blame this Florida State team for not wanting to shorten their week leading up to rivalry weekend, leading up to one of the last weekends in the ACC, not wanting to put their players in harm's way, because it's not even the COVID thing, really. I mean, if they pass the test, they pass the test. Everything's good. Go ahead and play as long as you want. But you're putting these kids at risk by asking them to play a short week. I mean, there's a reason that there's a whole movement in the NFL right now to move games away from Thursday nights, because you don't want to play Sunday or Monday, then turn right back around and play on Thursday, because guess what? You're not fully recovered yet, and you're risking chances of getting hurt. You're risking chances of these kids' futures. These kids that are playing for no money right now, they're playing for a scholarship and they're playing for all that sort of stuff. We've already touched on that. But, I mean, what they have on the line is an NFL contract, and you're going to risk these kids' future and you're going to call the coach a coward, basically, when he decides he doesn't want to play this game on a short week. Come on. I hate Dabo.
Listen, I was on Florida State's side until it came out that the ACC approved doctors approved Clemson to play the game on Saturday at the scheduled time.
Right.
I mean, listen, I get it. We got to keep everyone safe, but if there's 3 sets of doctors and there's 2 biased ones, because Clemson's always going to side with Clemson, Florida State's always going to side with Florida State. We got that. But there's a unbiased group of doctors, and they say, oh, they're good to play. They were quarantined, everyone tested negative, like everything is good, you should be able to play, and you still don't play? Then, like, I have a real tough time siding with you on this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Clemson paid $300,000 to travel to Tallahassee, and you canceled on them the day of the game?
$300,000?
Yeah, for hotels, food, planes.
No, I don't care. What could you possibly be spending $300,000 on?
They fly private.
That's fine. You fly private. You could probably buy
for a whole team.
Okay, but
plus you had to pay for the hotel, plus the multiple meals you have over the 2 days,
Zach,
for an entire team and staff.
You're talking about like a few $1,000s. We're talking about like $2,000.
You are sick.
We're talking maybe $5,000 for the hotel and like fuel for that private jet that Clemson owns. You know what they're doing? They're money laundering, Zach. And you're going to sit here and side with them. They're money laundering. They're paying their players. They're like, you know how much we had to pay Trevor Lawrence to even put this Clemson helmet on this weekend? $250,000. The extra $50,000 is what they had to pay everybody else. So yeah,
you're sick, bro.
I'm not sick.
Bro. How are you siding with people who canceled a game when it was cleared to play?
Zach, okay, let me put it this way, and this is the best analogy I can give you. You, Zach, are looking, let's say like Derrick Henry straight in the face, right? And you're running an Oklahoma drill. And you have the option to sit this one out. What are you doing?
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I'm not going to get by Derrick Henry. I promise you. And that's before
fair enough.
So I can't blame them. I probably wouldn't want to step in the bear trap either. You know, it makes sense to me.
I think that a lot of the blame falls on the ACC though, Brandon, too, because if both teams are approved to play, the team shouldn't have the flexibility to cancel the day of.
Yeah, that's true. See,
It should be up to the school.
I was shocked at 8 a.m. when I got the notification that said this game was canceled. I was like, huh? You can do that?
Right. And I even said, like, if Florida State, if it comes out that, like, yes, none of the other players tested positive, which it looks like they didn't because Clemson's getting ready to play Pitt, and no one's tested positive. If that's the case, Florida State's got to get fined or something, man. You just can't be ducking opponents.
They're already getting fined. How can Dabo say you owe us money on this one, though? Like, he paid for it out of his pocket.
Well, his exact quote pretty much was, if you want to play us again, you can come here. We already came down to play y'all, and y'all dipped. So that's on y'all. Y'all can come to play us if y'all want to see us and get the smoke.
I don't know. I'm siding with Florida State because I hate Clemson. I don't even hate Clemson. I hate Dabo.
I mean, before we wrap this up, one last thing, and then we're going to move on to the college football playoffs. Can Florida State be any more of a dumpster fire? Like, where in the world can you go any lower than just being like, we are scared to get beat by 60 again?
Maybe James Blackman decides that he doesn't want to transfer now.
God.
And that's how they become more of a dumpster fire. I don't know.
I'm just going to leave it there.
Maybe Blake Barnett decides to transfer in, and he's like, I'm the starting quarterback now. Oh, sorry.
That's tough. That's real tough. But, guys, I'm going to move on here. The Clemson-Florida State drama has been going on, 3 days? It's Wednesday as we're recording, so it's still going on. But college football playoff came out last night, guys. Brandon, surprises, takeaways, who was ranked too high, who's ranked too low for you?
The audacity of the college football playoff committee to rank BYU at 14. Who do you think you are? Who do you think? And the audacity to rank Georgia at number 9. What is happening?
That's tough.
That's
happening? Tough. I don't know. I mean, bro, Georgia's above Miami, whose only loss is to Clemson on the road. Indiana, whose only loss is to Ohio State by 1 score on the road, and an undefeated BYU and Oregon team.
Nice. I hate this. I hate today. This is the worst segment. I don't know. I want to be on the committee. How do I get on the committee?
I don't know. I'm sure there's an application somewhere.
BYU, they're 9-0, Zach. I don't care if you're playing the Minnesota School of the Deaf and Blind and you played them 9 times. You're 9-0. How are you?
How about this? You know how, like, the people who are associated with schools on the committee have to, like, excuse themselves?
Yeah.
Why don't we just let the fans vote, but have, like, a system that, like, blocks them from voting their own team as number 1? Like, let's get a true vote here. Let's have, like, a whole country vote.
Because that would never work, Zach. Because you know what I would do? You know what I would do if I were voting in that? I'd tell them that I would say that I was like.
No, not everybody. You have to go through, like, an application process. We got to make sure you don't have a degree from somewhere.
I don't have a degree. I don't have a degree from LSU.
You have a Joe Burrow picture behind your right shoulder right now.
It's my left shoulder, but yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. But, Brandon, we can't do that. I get it. We can't even get the presidential election right. But that's a whole nother conversation. We can't even agree on who won that. So I get it. But the one surprise I was happy to see, Brandon, Northwestern getting some respect. All the way to number 8?
Yeah, that was a surprise, but I think it was like a nice surprise. Northwestern's a good team. Now, in the same realm, in the Big Ten, let's stick there for a second. Oklahoma is 11? Oklahoma?
They've been hot. They've been hot recently, though.
They are 14 in both the AP and the coaches poll. And then college football playoff came out and said, you know what, 11.
I mean, I think the only 2 teams you could argue should be in front of them are Indiana and BYU.
Right. BYU, like, undisputed.
BYU should be at number 9. They should be right ahead of Georgia at minimum.
Yeah, at minimum, yes.
I mean, and listen, I don't want to get on this bandwagon. We're pushing an hour. I promised Brandon we would keep it under an hour. We're getting there. How in the literal hell are you telling me Cincinnati's 7?
Zach was upset by that, if you can't tell.
I don't believe in Texas A&M, bro. They've played 2 ranked teams. They upset one at home. I get it. Florida, that's a great win. Florida's beating them 10 times out of 10 if they play again. And then they get blown out by Alabama. Other than that, they have not played a team with a winning record, Brandon.
That's tough. And they've got LSU up next, so the streak continues.
Still no winning record. They won't play another team this year with a winning record other than Auburn, Brandon.
Right.
And Auburn, if everything goes, Auburn might not be really good after this weekend.
No, I agree.
I mean, why is Texas A&M getting all this respect?
I don't know. Because they only have that one loss to Alabama, I guess.
And then look at Florida, Brandon. Florida's only played 2 teams with a winning record, and they lost one of them on the road, and then they beat a Georgia team that was beaten up and apparently didn't know who to start at quarterback.
And well, they beat the number 9 team in the country, Zach, so put some respect on their name.
Okay, and Alabama beat the dog, you know what, out of Georgia too.
Right.
I mean, I don't think A&M is that good, and I just think I do. Listen, am I putting BYU and Cincinnati in the same class? No, I'm not. I think Cincinnati is a much more complete team, and I think they're closer to a Power 5 team than BYU is.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they have the defense. I think they have the head coach with the background. They recruit Big Ten players.
Yeah, they do.
And listen, if Cincinnati goes undefeated, they deserve to be in it. I'm putting my bid. I am hashtag Cincinnati deserves the number 4 spot, regardless of what happens.
No comment.
And I swear to God, if y'all put A&M in, I am going to rage on this podcast. We're playing Slipknot in the background, and we are raging if they let A&M into the playoffs.
I'm going to put a mask on.
To me.
I'm going to get some nappy hair, and I'm going to start shredding.
Listen, I'm wearing a Purge mask, and we're live streaming. We're coming for everybody. But guys, next playoff will be next week. We'll do a reaction on every preview episode from now on. So stay tuned for that.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
One thing I will say is that I am glad the playoff committee put Clemson ahead of Ohio State.
Yes.
They did that, and I feel like that surprised a lot of people. I don't know why it surprised a lot of people, but it did.
Because the playoff committee usually is a real stan of Ohio State, if you haven't noticed.
They usually have one wild card in there, too, and it doesn't seem like they have a wild card. These are all college football playoff alum.
I feel like Northwestern is like their wild card. Like they got crazy. They got Brazy put Northwestern at 8.
Yeah, that's true. It was close. They were close enough to smell that top 4, and so that was the wild card. Or Texas A&M was, because they were right there.
That's true. And Cincinnati is the highest ever ranked Group of 5 team in playoff history.
Crazy. I love it.
It's crazy. But guys, last storyline. This was probably going to break Brandon's heart here. Another Brandon's heart segment. Wisconsin had their game canceled this weekend, Brandon. So you know what that means?
They're out of the Big Ten championship.
They are ineligible to compete for the Big Ten championship. What is going on at Wisconsin?
I don't know. Apparently they can't contain this. Like, everyone else in the country is doing a pretty good job at containing this, at least in the college football world. And then Wisconsin was like, you know what? Who cares? We lost to Northwestern. The season's over.
Listen, it gets worse, Brandon. Are you ready for this? This is going to really break your heart. Okay. Wisconsin, Minnesota was the longest uninterrupted rivalry in the country in college football history. They played from 1907 to 2019, a streak of 113 consecutive years, and it's over now.
That's disappointing.
The Paul Bunyan axe will not be transferred this weekend.
That's like the best, though. And what in the world? Who do I talk to? Because I'm going to get this game to happen. Kevin Warren. Do I need to talk to Kevin Warren? I'm already like mad at him.
Right?
So, yeah.
I don't know, man. This is bad for the Wisconsin Badgers. I think we see a string of opt-outs, Brandon, especially with bowl season up in the air.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure what to think right here for the Wisconsin Badgers. So that is a bad thing. We had to cover it here, guys. So we'll see. Brandon, they have 2 ranked matchups coming up, though. They got Indiana on the 5th. Hopefully that can be played. That'll be a great game. And then they travel to Iowa to play the Hawkeyes on the road, who's ranked 24th right now on the 12th. So they have 2 chances to get 2 big ranked wins, but I don't think 4 wins is getting you into a bowl game this year either.
No, it's not.
So we will see on that, guys. We're going to move on here. Brandon's Gambling Corner. We're going to find the showdown with that. We're starting out with ACC Superdogs, Brandon. We have Syracuse plus 14.5 against NC State. Do they cover, or are you even taking the money line plus 490 for Syracuse?
Absolutely not taking the money line, but I think they can cover. I mean, that's only 2 scores. And you know what that means? That means, since I said that, it's not going to happen. But yeah, take the money line.
I like it. Pitt plus 23.5 against Clemson. Are you taking the Pitt money line as well? Plus 980.
No, nope. I'm not even taking the spread. As much as I would love to take that spread, Trevor Lawrence is back, and that means nothing good for Pitt. Paris Ford is gone; he's out. So is like this Pitt team. Just everyone's gone. So no, Clemson wins by a lot.
That kills. Florida State plus 8.5 against Virginia. If they don't cancel, the money line is plus 260 Florida State.
See, the thing is, both of these teams are so bad, and I'm just picking the favorite in every single one of these. No, I'm not. Florida State can absolutely not cover that, so don't even think about it.
That's tough. Big Ten money lines, Brandon. Nebraska plus 440 against Iowa.
Nope.
It is in Iowa.
I hate Nebraska. Nebraska was the team that, dude, did you, if anyone saw my parlay last weekend, I did it as a joke. I thought that they would have had to win because all of my teams were favorites, like big favorites. And then Nebraska went and lost. Even with
Illinois.
Yeah, I don't even.
Luke McCaffrey.
I thought he was good. I thought he was better than Adrian Martinez. He's not. No, this Nebraska team is cursed. Don't ever bet on them. So no.
We got Maryland. Well, I guess we already picked Maryland, but Illinois plus 1,120 against Ohio State.
No. No.
Not even a chance.
Not even a chance. Not even for a second. I want to know what the odds are that they don't get a single lead during the entire game. I would bet on that. I would bet on Ohio State to keep the lead throughout the entire game.
The spread's plus 27.5.
Yeah, I would take Ohio State.
Oh, Michigan State plus 490 this weekend. I wrote down Michigan State against Michigan State. They do not play themselves.
They do not play themselves? Are you sure?
Listen, they play Northwestern. My bad. Plus 490 against Northwestern.
No. I can't believe that line's that close, though. Or not. I can't believe the money line's that close.
It's 13.5. That's the line.
I don't know. I don't think that. I don't think Northwestern can cover that, but I do think they win.
I like it. UCF, USF. This is for our over-under segment now. Over-under UCF, USF, 66.5.
Over.
Like it.
Over.
Maryland, Indiana, 62.5.
Ooh, that one's enticing. Over.
Ohio State, Illinois, 71.5.
Under.
Ooh, under. I thought Ohio State might score 70, but Penn State, Michigan, 58.5.
Under.
Vandy, Missouri, 50.5.
Over.
Kentucky, Florida, 61.5.
Over.
I like it. UTEP, Rice, 44.5.
Wait, I don't know anything about either one of these teams, but 44.5, I have to go with over.
Yeah. They're going to score 3 points.
Yeah.
South Alabama, Arkansas State, 64.5.
Under.
Ooh. Northwestern, Michigan State, 41.5.
Ooh, over.
I like it. K-State, Baylor, 45.5.
K-State, Baylor, 45.5. Oh,
yeah.
Over.
I like it. Arizona, UCLA, 69.5.
Nice. Under. Oh, wait, no, over.
That's got to be over, bro. You can't pick under in Pac-12 games.
No,
but guys,
I know.
There's no Brandon's Hart this week. We had Brandon Hart all the way throughout the episode, and Southern Miss don't play this weekend.
Woo!
So that's a relief for Brandon. But guys, we will be back next week, man, with a recap. We got big games this week, so make sure you have a good Turkey Day on Thursday. And you know what? Listen to this episode with your family. Turn off the Cowboys. They are, garbage, and just listen to the Blue Bloods. We don't want to watch the Cowboys get beat again. It's a whole thing. Please don't do that. Enjoy your family, guys. Enjoy football this weekend. We'll be back. Instagram at _Blue Bloods, Facebook at the Blue Bloods Pod, and Twitter at the __ Blue Bloods. Find us on YouTube, the Blue Bloods CFB podcast. But we'll be back next week, guys. But for right now, we out.